Alright, Chef Andrew here. We are going to be teaching you today how to make a vegetarian samosa. This is not a vegan samosa because we are going to be using some yogurt, but we are making a vegetarian samosa, meaning there's no other meat products, meat byproducts, but there are dairy products. Alright, so what you're going to need for this, we're going to start out making the dough because you're going to need to let the dough rest. Starting with the dough, we're going to need 2 cups of flour. We're going to need half a cup of plain yogurt, a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil or canola oil, and then half a teaspoon of salt. Alright, we're going to use a little extra flour just to dust the tabletop because we're going to need for a couple minutes. And then I'm actually going to add a little more flavor into the dough. I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of garam masala spice mixture. Okay, so once you've got all this, you're going to add your salt to your flour here, and then you're going to mix it really well. Use a whisk. You're going to combine the salt and the flour. And this is probably a good time to go ahead and add any additional spices to your flour mixture. Again, I'm going to do about half a teaspoon of garam masala. You can use any other spice mixture, curry powder, anything that gives it more flavor and sustenance besides the filling. Okay, set that aside, and then just whisk until it's well combined. No large clumps can get combined. If you want to use a sifter or a sieve to do this process, you can. Just put an extra step in there. This will work just fine. Okay, set that aside. Now we're going to create a little well, and we're going to put our yogurt and our oil right here in the center. Okay, so just scrape your yogurt. Make sure you clean that bowl really, really well. And our oil. Okay, set those aside. We'll get those washed up in a few minutes. Now, using your rubber scraper or wooden spoon, you're just going to start mixing this and combining it together very slowly, very gently. Trying to mix all the flour in at once. Mix a little and a little. Mix in little by little. And we're going to look and wait for this to come to a ball. When it comes to a ball, we can take it out of the bowl and begin kneading it. As you see, I'm scraping the sides and folding it back over and pushing it down to create some mixture. I don't want to be too violent. I don't want to create a lot of gluten elasticity at the moment, so I'm going to be very gentle here and wait for it all to be combined. Okay. At a certain point, it becomes a little harder for your scraper here, so you just clean it off. For this, you want to make sure you're not wearing any of your rings. Remember, in a restaurant business, you don't wear a lot of jewelry. I'm use my hands here. So I'm just scraping down the sides, pushing it together. It's just about coming to a ball at the moment. If you were wanting to make a vegan samosa, you would just replace the yogurt by doubling the oil and then just mixing the yogurt. You'll get a flaky samosa like you're supposed to, but yogurt is that flavor that we're looking for on a samosa. Yogurt and curry, because this is an Indian dish. Okay, I'm going to take that out here. Alright, just lightly flour your top here, and then you're just going to knead for about 3 minutes. If you need help, get a timer, my fancy little timer, and we're just going to knead it for 3 minutes. Okay? We don't want it to be one massive ball. We do want it to be firm. The harder and tougher that the dough is, the flakier and crispier it will be when you fry it. Because this is a pan-fried, shallow fried treat that you find on a lot of Indian menus as well as street vendors. If your one hand gets tired, switch up. You know, no reason for you to overdo it in one hand. Okay, somebody's in here. I don't want to lose too much dough. It's pretty simple. It's similar to a pie crust, except we add a little more spice, no sugar, no baking powder, baking soda is needed. The yogurt helps us with its natural bacteria create the flaky tenderness we want. And make sure you lightly flour. You see how I've lightly floured? There's very little left on the counter here. That's what I'm looking for. Getting close. Alright. I think I'm looking good. It's pretty uniform. A little bit softer than a pasta dough would be, but nice and dry. That's where we want it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this into a bowl. And I'm just going to let it rest. Okay. Time is about up. Okay, we're going to let this rest. I'm going to cover it. We're going to let it rest for 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes. Don't touch it. Alright, our samosa dough is resting. It's got a few more minutes. I went ahead and prepped the rest of the ingredients. This is what you're going to need to make the filling for these samosas. You're going to need 2 medium potatoes, preferably a yellow potato. They're a little bit firmer and they'll stay together after you've cooked them. We're going to take these and we're actually going to cook them in my hot water that's going over here for a few minutes. Roughly about 5 minutes or so until they become nice and tender but not falling apart or mushy. Okay. After that, I'm going to take half a cup of frozen peas or fresh peas, depending on what you can find at your store. And we're also going to blanch those in the water along with the potatoes for a few minutes right at the end of the cooking process for the potatoes. Alright? From there, you're going to need half a cup of white onion diced. You roughly want the vegetables, the peas, the onions, and the potatoes to be roughly the same size so they all kind of cook the same, so they all finish cooking at the same time while they're in the samosa. Okay? Then you're going to need all of these seasonings and flavorings. We're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon each of whole cumin seeds and whole coriander seeds. You're going to need 3/4 teaspoon of garam masala. You're going to need 1/4 teaspoon of ground turmeric. You're going to need 2 whole chilies that have been skinned, seeded, and diced. Again, about the same size as your onions and potatoes and peas. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of of ginger, peeled and minced. Garlic, you need 1 clove of garlic minced. I minced this with salt, that way I get all the nice little oils that happen to come out. And then you're going to need 1.5 teaspoons of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro, some oil for cooking, and salt and pepper to finish off the filling. Okay, so I'll be back when the potatoes and the peas have been cooked through and we're ready to begin putting the entire filling together all at once. And again, we're just taking the potatoes and putting them into water for a few minutes to get nice and tender. Okay, I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes, and then I'm going to add my peas, set it for another 2 minutes, and then we'll be back to that. Alright, so in a pan, a little bit of oil, it's been heating up. I'm going to toss in my cumin and my coriander seeds. I want them to get a little hot and kind of add to the oil a little bit as it's heating up here. I'm going to heat up my pan until medium-ish. And we're just going to stir our oil and our seeds together. I want them to blend a little nicely. The seeds will soften during this process and add to the oil. And then once our oil is kind of nice and free-flowing, spreads out evenly, get a nice little shimmer on it going, we're going to add in our onions. Okay, so we're going to sweat these. Okay, getting that just that bare simmer, that's what I want, so I'm going to go ahead and add these. And I'm just looking to sweat these. I don't want really a lot of caramelization to happen, so I'm going to sit here and watch them. We want them to turn translucent a little bit. Let's see if I can get my camera turned a little more. Here we go. Zoom in. I can push this back. There we go. It's nice having a countertop thing here. Getting a lot of nice onion smell here. Let that sweat for a little bit. Get those nice and soft. Okay. About halfway through the cooking process here, I'm going to go ahead and add my dry seasonings. So my garam masala, my turmeric, as well as my garlic and my ginger. Okay. You're going to add your garlic first. Get that stirred and mixed together. Then we'll add our ginger. And then we'll add our dry turmeric, garam masala dry, at this point it'll smell very pungent. You're going to get a lot of cinnamon and clove, a lot more cumin and coriander are going to come out along with some allspice. It's going to smell a little sweet. Okay. Now I'm going to add the green chilies. So again, I'm not browning. I'm just giving it a nice sweat. Make sure everything's cooked through. Okay, now I'm going to add my peas and my potatoes. I'm going to pepper and salt right now. Remember, potatoes love salt, so make sure you test it as you go through. Make sure you got a good seasoning on your vegetables. Now we don't want mashed potatoes, so try to be gentle with pushing potatoes around. A lot of Indian recipes call for you mashing potatoes, which is fine. This is more of a high-end version of the samosa. I want you to use those French cooking skills, you know, all your dices and juliennes. Okay, I'm going to toss this in with some lemon juice. Now we're towards the end of the cooking process, so we're going to throw in our cilantro. I'm going to reduce the heat to low. I'm going to stir this a little bit. Alright, at this point is a good spot to go ahead and give it a taste and make sure the seasonings are good. Okay, we don't want to over salt it. We don't want to underwhelm any of the seasonings we have. We're looking spot on for taste, but I do want to add some more salt. Those potatoes love to suck in some salt. And then I'm going to add one extra thing because I want mine a little bit more creamy. And I want a little sauce to develop. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of coconut milk. I'm going to use about a 1/4 cup coconut milk. This will help give me my little creaminess to it. Give it a nice stir. I want the sauce to cling to the potatoes. Any liquid that you have in your pan, you want to cling so that when you make your filling or you put it onto your dough, we're getting a nice, good clump of food that won't fall or drain. So I can see the coconut milk add a nice creamy texture. It also enhances the smell of the lemon and the garam masala spices. Okay, again, we have to try this. We want to make sure our seasonings are good. We are almost there. These potatoes are loving salt today. And I'm going to splash a little more pepper in there. Okay. I'm going to transfer this to a bowl, and then when we come back, we'll begin rolling out our dough and actually making the little samosa pockets. Alright, so our filling is done. Set aside in a bowl here. And now we have our dough. So the dough should be nice and firm, not sticky really. You're not going to need flour to roll this out. Maybe a little oil, but that's about it. So you're going to take off small parts of this. I'm going to say roughly, you're going to get about 12 of these from this roll, 12 things. So you can split this in half, and then split that half into another half, and then split that half into 3 little balls of dough. So you get about 12. Okay? And then you're going to take one of those balls of dough with a rolling pin, using my nice fancy Coca-Cola rolling pin. And we're just going to roll that out. We're going to try to get a square shape will be fine. A round is fine as well. We just need it nice and flat and thin. Okay, this is where oil comes in. See how it's sticking to this, which is fine. See, it's not really sticking, it's just holding it. So a little firm. Try not to let it fold in on itself when you're rolling it. The thinner it is, the crispier and less doughy it will be, and we're looking for a crispy, less doughy type. Okay. Nice and easy. Okay, so now we're going to take our filling. We're going to get a nice good size tablespoon and a half, right there in the center. Okay, and now we're going to fold this over in a kind of a unique way. We're going to fold it over first. We're going to wet our edges, by the way. We want to seal, so have a bowl of water standing by that you can seal and crimp your edges. And we're going to take one corner over here. We're going to pull it over like so. We're going to give it a nice little tamp. Press the seal here. Okay, and then we're going to take this side and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come down, push this, and seal it, and then we're just going to seal it on the corners. Okay, make sure our corners are nice and sealed. Make sure we're up here sealed. Okay, and then this excess so we can just kind of get rid of. Use a small knife or a small spoon to cut the edge away. Okay. Set that aside. I'm going to show you one more time how to do that, and then I will cut the video off and finish up myself, and then we'll come back and teach you how to fry these. So again, take another ball. Again, easy. Just press and roll. Press and roll. Do not have to be perfect. Okay. Again, about a tablespoon and a half. Alright, in the center. Again, we're going to start from one of the corners and we're just going to pull up and over. I always forget to wet these damn things. Don't forget to wet your sides. I'm going to pull this up and over. Crimp the bottom very well. We're going to grab this side, pushing this down and bringing it up. Okay, and again crimping the corners. No excess dough, we're good there. Okay, make sure you have plenty of room here. We want to make sure there's no air bubbles in there as well. Air bubbles will cause that to explode. Alright, I will come back and when I'm done with all the rest of the dough, and we'll fry these off. Alright, I went ahead and made everything. I got my oil nice and hot. I tossed in a piece of dough to verify that the oil was nice and hot and ready to go, and it is. So make sure that you have a plate with paper towel lined up so it's ready to go for the finished product, and then you have your samosas ready to go. Okay, so again, we're working with hot oil here. It's a shallow fry, a pan fry, meaning that we only want to cover part of the food while it's cooking, and I'm going to be cooking a little bit below 300 degrees. A lot of recipes and people from India say that you want to cook at a lower temperature for these, and you know, it's always worked out great, so I have no issue. You're going to take your samosa, seam side up first, and you're going to gently put it in. You're going to dip one end in and you're going to lay it away from you. You don't want the oil to splash on you, so you're going to dump it right in. Okay, let it going. And then you can probably get another one in here. Again, in and then away from you. Okay. We want to leave it plenty of room to breathe. We don't want too much oil popping. So 2, 3 at a time maybe would be fine. A non-stick pan would be even better so they won't stick to the pan when they're pan frying. It's a very quick process, as you can see. Nice and golden brown there. This one's not quite ready yet. I'm going to go throw another one in there. I think I'm ready for it. Again, down and away from you so it doesn't splash towards you. You don't want any oil hitting you. Okay? I'm being very gentle because I'm using a metal tongs on my non-stick pan. I don't want to ruin my non-stick pan. Just keep an eye on them. Again, it does not take very long, especially if the dough is already nice and thin. We don't want to ruin anything here. You're looking at about 30 to 45 seconds, sorry, 30 to 45 seconds on each side to get these nice and golden brown. Look at that. Isn't that a pretty color? Alright, I'm going to transfer that to my paper towel. We'll double check this one, not quite yet. See what this one, not quite yet either. So I am going to go ahead and throw one more in here. Again, we're taking it and we're going to put it in one end first and lay it away from us. Okay? We don't want any splashback. Do not leave your cooking in this process. You're dealing with hot oil. If you have younger kids and siblings running around the house, you don't want this to be played with. You also want to make sure that your handle is out up here above your pan, not towards the edge of the counter where you're working so that no one can bump it. Alright, check here. And we're looking good. So I'm going to take this one out. See if I can flip that one. Alright, that's about ready. That one's not ready, I know that. And put another one in. Again, dipping in and away from you. If you work in small batches at a time, the oil will stay nice and hot. You don't have to worry about the oil reheating itself back up every time you put something in there. So that's why we don't want to overcrowd any of our pans during this process. 2 or 3 max at the most, unless you're making bite-sized ones. These ones are actually pretty good size. These are about Hot Pocket size. It's hard to see that in the video. But, alright, so my memory card ran out in the middle of doing the last sequence here. So we're just going to make sure that, remember, we're taking our samosa, dipping it in first, and we're laying it away from us so we don't splash the oil onto us. Remember, we want bubbles to happen. If there's no bubbles, the oil is not cooking, and it's actually letting the oil into the dough. Remember, do 2 or 3 at a time. Again, dipping in and away from you so that you're not causing a oil splash here. In and away from you. Alright, I'll be back as soon as these are all done, and I'll show you what they look like when they're all finished. Alright, so let's go ahead and figure out a plating here for our samosas. I went with a very simple flattish bowl. Alright, I'm going to take a napkin. White would probably be the best to show colors. I'm going to take it, I'm actually going to fold it kind of corner to corner here. So you have 4 corners showing. I'm going to place it in the bowl. You can use cloth, but this is like a to-go snacky type item that you usually pick up on street vendors. Samosas pair very well with a mango chutney. So I have a mango chutney here. And they also eat it with just straight up ketchup. It's actually really good this way. So I have my little bowl here. I'm going to keep that there. So I'm going to choose 4 samosas here. And we're just going to lean them across the edge of the bowl here. Give them a nice little... I want to choose good ones. And there we go. All right, and I'm gonna add some fresh cilantro here. It's kind of give it a nice little pop. Fresh cilantro is really good. It's a palate cleanser. freshen your breath after your food if you want to eat it that way. And there we go. Now we have our vegetarian samosas, potatoes, pea, curry style with a garam masala coconut sauce inside, along with our tomato sauce and our mango chutney. And all you gotta do now is dip and enjoy. Have a good day.